Hello.
Morning, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Afternoon for you, morning for me still.
No. My day's almost done.
That's true. Mine is just getting going. Not too bad. How are you doing?
Doing well. Hey, the guys love the squeegee.
Aha.
It's made
Gee,
such a
what
difference.
what a surprise, huh?
I know. Red said, I will never doubt small tweaks again. I'm like, yep, exactly.
Terrific. Well, if you need more, just let me know.
Okay, I definitely will. I think
But
we're gonna put in an order for sure.
I think Dave is going to join us as well. I'm not sure who else. I posted enough times in the last couple of weeks so that it could be the two of us or it may be some others.
Okay, yeah.
We'll see. We're still a touch early, so we're okay. How's everything else going?
Doing well. We got in a big order, so the guys are working on that right now. But nothing too new since I've seen you.
Well, that's all right.
How about you?
Um, for me, finished up my road trip with you guys. Uh, well, just a couple of medical issues here and there, which
I'm sorry. Yeah.
seems to be one of those things that has caught up to me eventually.
Right.
Um, but all in all, not too bad. Still hot here. Uh,
Really?
yeah, it's going to be in the 90s again, which
Oh, wow.
for us is pretty unusual for this time. We're like 10, 12 degrees above normal. And
It's cold here today. It's like
is that
weird.
right?
It's only 73 degrees,
Oh,
which is
I've
crazy.
taken, supposed to get to 92 today and then rain. And so
Wow.
we've had one of those weird summers where um, daytime highs have been hot. And then as you get to evening, it decides to rain. So of course, if you're having people over for dinner or anything,
Right. Gotta
screws
bring them
up
in.
screws up the whole night.
Right.
But and it's been like that all summer long.
That's
So
crazy.
who knows? Um, you're not going to any of the other shows this year, are you?
We're not.
Okay. Um, I assume you're going to go back to the Atlantic City show next year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I haven't really talked with the guys yet, but I'm pretty sure we will.
Well, if you do go, I take two of you into my workshop, and I think I'm going to be doing two workshops. I'm not sure, one the day before and one the first day of the show.
Okay.
If it's a carryover from what I'm doing, uh, there's a show coming up in Fort Worth, and so I'll be working with Dane Clement, the artist that I work with, and so one of them is going to be pretty much on basics or fundamentals, for lack of a better term, and the other one is going to be an image that we produced in AI, separated, and then took it all the way through to completion.
Okay.
And now we have the other old man on here. Uh,
Howdy.
I don't know if you know
Hello.
Richard, but Richard and I go back a ways, although he's still younger than I am, so that doesn't
Oh,
really doesn't do anything for me. Makes me feel even older now. Um, but in any event, yeah, if you do decide to come to that show, let me know and I'll
Okay.
take care of getting the two of you or whoever into the workshops
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
and
that.
put you to work on cleaning screens and doing other things. But
okay.
I think all positive stuff, not negative.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely let you know if we go. We probably will. I don't see why we wouldn't.
Yeah, it's an easy enough drive for you guys.
Right. Yeah.
Richard, how is Nashville? It was Nashville,
Um,
right?
yeah, it was interesting, but it's like Dot Tone Dan and J.T. Campbell had never really taught a class before. So it was clear there were experts, but for the beginners in the class, they've got to use the video. Everything was videoed, so it's going to be very efficient. But for instance, if I said to you, "Oh, here, we're going to go to Billy's house. Follow me," and you quick jump in your car and you follow me left, right, under the underpass, over the overpass, through the canal, and then say, okay, you can go do that now, right? So there wasn't a lot of signposts. And as you and I know that my first couple of seminars I did back in the 80s, I didn't have handouts. And then I went to one of Scott Presner's seminars and he had a handout and I went, of course. And I've never given any speech ever. Even if it was an internal thing that I did at Yolano, I've never not had a handout with the important points I wanted you to learn. And these people needed a step-by-step checklist.
Yeah. You
So
know,
they'll have to figure it out by watching the videos, but they showed a lot of different ways. It was very impressive.
it's interesting. There are so many people out there that know what to do. That doesn't mean they know how to teach. And so there's a huge difference between getting up in front of a room and walking your way through and not having proper points in front of you. And so at the end of the session, it's kind of like, well, that was really good. I don't know what the hell I learned because I can't remember it now. Which is an unfortunate thing. Of course, you and I have done enough of these. Got Dave on with us, who is now a new speaker, which is kind of fun. Dave and I were over at Mallory's place. So she runs a nonprofit. Most screen printers, unfortunately, are nonprofits, but that's because they're not declared nonprofit. They are just not profitable.
I've never told that joke before, Charlie.
I know it's the old joke of, how do you make $1 million in screen printing? It's easy. You start out with 2 million. But it's one of those things, teaching has always been one of those interesting things because from the outside, it looks like a piece of cake. It's like, oh, you just get up there and tell them all the stuff you know. And then you get up there and you realize, damn, there's a lot more to this than just standing up here and just telling them what I know. Especially when it comes down to answering questions that pop up.
Mm-hmm.
But in any event, so Mallory, since you're the guest on this, we should probably ask you some questions.
Yeah.
So you got into this how long ago?
So we started 4 years ago. We took around 4 months to actually learn the process though. So in business around 3.75 years.
So I know your dad's involved, obviously, or to some extent involved. You're a nonprofit, but you all, besides screen printing, you also have other divisions.
Yeah, so the Transformation Center as a whole is a nonprofit community center that started 9 years ago. And we do services. We're in Baltimore, South Baltimore, where there's a lot of generational poverty. But so the Transformation Center helps with food relief, homeless services, after school programming, and we wanted to create a workforce development component to where we could offer men in the community that are facing barriers of obtaining employment to learn a trade, but also to be mentored. And so that's why we started TC Prints. We started the screen printing company so that we could learn the trade, have a business, but also teach guys that trade and get them into other jobs farther down the road once they've developed their communication skills and other work-related skills.
So you're working somewhat with those who were incarcerated at some time, addicted, etc.
Yep.
How many have gone through your basically through the screen print program?
Yeah, so 3 guys so far have gone through it. We wanted to start really small just because screen printing world in itself, we're still learning clearly. And we wanted to make sure that we were giving quality product before we started onboarding a lot of our mentees. So we feel like now we're in a good space to where we can bring on more guys part-time. Our goal is to bring on a few more guys in 2025. That way we have several people here working at one time. Right now it's kind of been like a one-on-one mentorship process with the guys that are working in the print shop. But yeah, we're definitely hoping to expand that here in 2025.
You know, one of the things I noticed when I was there, you asked us to take a look at your price list.
Mhm.
So I've worked with nonprofits before, and some of them have made really bad mistakes by being way too low, to the point where those coming out of the program can't get a job because they basically pissed off all the companies surrounding them because their pricing was so low that it made a bad impression.
Right.
You don't have to worry about that. I don't believe your pricing is anywhere near low,
Right.
which is good. I mean, the fact that you're getting it is great, but at least you're putting people out there, or will be putting people out that are coming from a company that is competitive with everyone else, which they should be.
Right.
You're supposed to be competitive. You're not supposed to be the low ball in town, as
Right.
far as I'm concerned. Richard, have you worked much with any nonprofits?
Only in the arts sector, in private life, nothing to do with screen printing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that something's nonprofit doesn't mean you work for free or that you work at a loss. Nonprofit is definitely where you're reinvesting funds, et cetera.
It's a poorly chosen name because it sends the wrong message. It frames the wrong message that you're not for profit. Of course you're for profit, except
Right.
you revert it into expenses. So
Right.
Yep.
No, exactly. And that's especially going off our pricing, like we never want it to be the cheapest because we believe in obviously the work that we're doing, but also it's a good selling point because we are competitive with other shops in our local areas pricing, and we can say, all right, you can buy shirts from this shop where the money goes to the owner and he pockets it, or you can buy from us and that goes right to reinvest right into lives that are trying to transform. So it's a good selling point for us because people I feel like especially nowadays are really, are wondering where their dollars are going. So it's a good way to sell, to show exactly where their dollars are going.
Yeah. Dave, you're working with a company down in Louisiana. Can't hear you. Nope. You're still on. I
I'm
think
good now.
There you go.
yes,
Yeah.
You're working
Yeah,
with.
it's
Is it a
yeah, it's
nonprofit
in
organization also?
no, it's a healthcare company that's trying to do a transition program for kids with learning disabilities and autism. So
Okay.
after they're in their like facility, once they turn 21, I believe, they have no more funding. So they're trying to, just make their lives better and the families' lives better by having a program that they could transition to while they have the support. And then once they transition to that facility under the healthcare company, it will be for profit. Like a
Okay.
small, they're trying to do like small screen shops, I think up to like 10 or 15 of them, like throughout the country, like in their network as it gets going. But the first one was kind of like a big cluster because someone started and stopped it. So like the communication was all off. So we're just trying to get it back up and running now, the first one.
Sounds interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's not a nonprofit, but it is a educational situation in terms of training for
Yeah.
the outside world.
Correct.
Well, that's a good thing.
I think the only thing that we've been associated with is the school system, like Brian Hogue up in Minnesota, who runs a high school program or used to run a high school program.
Yeah.
And literally they made a profit every year, to which they bought more and more equipment.
Yep.
So it did and it didn't make a profit. So we have to come up with a better name for that.
Yeah, I know. I hate the word nonprofit because it just gives off the wrong impression as to why you're doing what you're doing. But yeah, the school up in Minnesota, also there one in California, or a couple of them in California. Unfortunately, those teachers have retired out also, that had really nice print shops going where they were training their students to move forward in this industry. Kind of interesting how they were able to really take their profits and roll them into pretty substantial situations, automatic machinery, et cetera, which definitely adds a lot to a nonprofit situation in terms of someone coming out where they understand the basics of putting a screen together, but also how to run a manual and run an automatic. And of course, that gives you the opportunity to go after that many larger jobs and bigger corporations that give out huge work.
That
So,
also
and
brings to mind Andy McDougall, who used to work with the Waxahachie School, which is an indigenous Canadian school that literally was designed to train people,
Yep.
just as what we're talking about. And he created a kit that people could build themselves, an offshoot of what Scott was doing 40 years ago with his kit that he designed in
Yeah,
the 70s.
yeah, I worked with a organization up in northern British Columbia that was training indigenous people on screen printing, but they had other schools as well. They had one on totem pole carving. Matter of fact, I have a totem pole in my yard from that, which I've had for a long time now. I told them it was, gee, those things look great. And one day this coffin showed up to my house. And I'm thinking, really, you're sending me dead bodies? I mean, it's a 6-foot totem pole. It looks great now because it's actually worn its way down, been weathered over the years. But there are quite a few programs out there that do focus on anything from rehabilitating to working with handicap to just really giving students the opportunity to understand that there's a field out there called screen printing, not silk screening, and that there really is a career that they can pursue, which, I know in trying to get money when I had my screen printing company back in the 70s, trying to talk to a banker about getting a loan, it was easier to get teeth pulled than getting money from a banker for silk screening.
Mm.
Who knows? I'm not sure if those days are any different. I was always amazed how if you went in and asked for money to open a restaurant, they were very willing to give you money because everybody needs to eat. Of course, the number of restaurants that fail on an annual basis is amazingly high, where screen printers certainly have their issues, just like any other new business, but failure rate is nowhere near what restaurants are. My thing is everybody needs clothing.
Right.
Who knows? Anyway, Jim decided to join us. Must be away from his desk.
Yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea of you're talking about like the wording of the nonprofit, just to kind of leave that out of all the marketing. It's
Yeah,
just more or less like just the conveying that you're helping people or
Yeah,
whatever
Training
the cause is.
in our words, we say social enterprise. I feel like that's the
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like
I
even
have
that.
no
I'll just
idea
leave it
what
out.
that means, but training center, I understand what that means.
yeah,
Yeah, like it's almost they could stay out of the business side of it. I think the marketing would roll and it works better when it's just you're creating an emotion rather than explaining the exact details of how the business is structured.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody cares. Like they're not going to look into if it's a nonprofit or not. They just know you're helping.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
that's the route I
think,
would take.
yeah, I agree with you. I think if you list yourself more as a training center, that certainly has a positive feel to it.
Yeah.
Um,
I almost take it as like Johnny Cash keeping politics out of music. It's like almost the same idea. Just
Yeah.
like no one needs to hear about it. You're doing the right thing. It's all good.
Right.
so when we were at your place, you showed me your major hall. that would certainly have room for an automatic as well as big dryer and really putting together a pretty nice sized shop in there that
Yeah.
would probably require a decent number of people coming through it in order for it to function correctly.
Right.
You know, right now you have 2 people working in the screen shop.
Right,
Well, you'd probably have to bump that number up to about 8 to 10
right.
in order for everything else to flow correctly. Which I think, you know, you've got a great space there, other than the carpeting on the floor. That's probably the only thing that's creates issues, but
Yeah.
outside of that, not too bad.
Right. I know. We're still, toying with the idea in our head, whether we should just make the move, now and then slowly grow into it or move into it when we need it. So still deciding.
I would do it now.
Yeah.
I
Based
was
on
gonna
me
say,
moving.
you want my opinion? Easier to do it now than to do it later,
Right.
because later, as
Right.
you accumulate more and more product and more procedural situations, the idea of breaking everything down, moving it downstairs, building it in again.
Right.
I think you're gonna find that now, as much as it may be a nuisance, it's a fraction of what it would take later on. So,
Right. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Reds has to get married in there first. He's getting married in that room next month.
Really?
oh, is that
Yeah.
Nice.
okay? Well, putting it. I mean, what's wrong with having a wedding in the middle of a screen
Hey,
print
he
shop?
would love it. I don't think his girl would.
Oh, well,
That's
But yeah,
funny.
we're hoping to move down there soon. I'm hoping.
Nice.
how's he doing? So I know when I first met him, I'm not sure if he was a bit skeptical or not, but certainly was interested in seeing what was going on. It was enjoyable working with you guys when we were there.
Yeah.
I thought we did pretty well in terms of moving forward
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
getting a couple of things resolved. Certainly an understanding of squeegees, among other things, mesh
Yeah.
counts. Kind of looking forward to hoping to get out to see you again next year at that time, but certainly seeing you in Atlantic City would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Dave, I was telling Charlie that Charlie sent over 2 of the squeegees and Red's like wanted to kiss them. And he was like, oh my gosh,
Oh, that's
I'll
good.
never doubt, a small tweak ever again. Like
Yeah, that's awesome.
we had like 0 texture problems on the last order. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
it was
Very
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Did you get any ink conditioners?
We
Or-
haven't
or-
yet. I've been out
Yeah.
of town for the last honestly since you guys left. I've been
Yeah.
in and out. So yeah, we're gonna sit down. Hopefully tomorrow we're doing a big event for a back to school giveaway. We have 500 students come in to get backpacks and stuff like that. So we're trying to
Nice.
get over that and then we're gonna look down and
Yeah, cool.
do our upgrades. They're working on the drying cabinet on Friday. I think they bought all
Nice.
supplies. So yeah.
Well,
Very good.
Dave and I really do want to come out there again next year just so we can get crab cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had crabs the other day and I picked them to make my own crab cakes and I totally screwed it up and they were disgusting. So I'll just
Oh,
stick to
well.
buying them at
Well, the
Pappas.
ones you ordered in were amazingly good. So
Good. I'm glad.
What was the name of the place you ordered from?
It's called
Pappas.
Pappas. Pappas.
I remember seeing the bag, but I forgot what it was.
I think they
Yeah.
actually ship too, if I'm
yeah,
not
they have a couple of locations, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran it past a friend of mine who said, "Oh, that place is amazing."
Yep. Best
So,
spot for sure.
and they were. I mean, they were
Yeah.
outstanding.
Good.
Richard, what's your next move?
Printing United is coming up, and
You're coming
I mean,
out to Vegas.
that's
You're going to
gonna
be in Vegas,
event.
aren't you? You all
No,
going to
I'm
be in
not.
Vegas? No?
no, I'm not going to go. I mean, that is
Okay.
what That's the only event that's coming up, that I'm thinking of, that Fort Worth has happened already, or it's about to
No,
happen.
no. This year it's kind of weird. Vegas is in September and Fort Worth is in October, the end of
Right,
October,
exact, right.
which is so strange, but at least it'll be cooler than it usually is going down to Fort Worth.
Ah,
Of course, Vegas will be that much hotter, but then again, 100 degrees is still 100 degrees. It's going to be 92, 93 in Denver today, which
Oh.
which is hot as hell here. Oh well. It's been one of those weird summers where we've hit a lot of high temperatures, much more than the usual, and a lot of rain for whatever reason. I don't know. Sometimes I'm puzzled by the weather out here, but oh well. Daytime highs, not so, pretty high. Nighttime lows have been great, down in the 60s. Makes it easy to sleep, if nothing else. Jim, you on with us? I do all my testing and stuff at Jim's place. I guess he's there in spirit, if nothing else.
Ah.
All right, what else is going on? Dave, what are you up to?
He says no
What am I
mic.
doing? I am
Huh?
I'm updating my phone system.
Is that right?
Yeah, I guess we had like some crazy wacky music on hold. It was too loud and we were getting complaints. But the marketing girl's on vacation, so instead of waiting for her to come back, I'm doing a task that's wasting my time and then finding other problems within the system. So like different departments have different extensions that are wrong, and now I'm going in a wormhole. So I don't
That
know.
sounds like
That's
a
what I'm
fun
doing.
deal.
Yeah, it's funny. There's all different aspects of roads I could go down when it go off track. Start doing something. But we just got the DTF up and running. That's good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because when I was there, they were still installing all of that.
Yeah, it's all good. I don't the thing I don't like is there's no PMS match, and even like all the colors when you're putting them in based on like the RGB or whatever it is they're never accurate. So like we're kind of trying to do our own testing and come up with like house colors that we know will be exact to certain things. If we were to like DTF a back and then screen print the front for a certain situation and things like that. So that's the only downfall that we see now. And then
How's the hand on that when you apply it to garments and stuff?
it's nice as long as it's not a whole big chunk.
Yeah.
If you break it up, it's nice. Even if it's a full front, if as long as it's broken up or just like distressed or just the way the artist sets it up, we're good with it. But anything, it's not as bad as vinyl, obviously, but we still not going to do big solid pieces of things like prints. If it's going on a t-shirt, a hoodie, we would do, but it's the feel's still not there for t-shirts, in my opinion, with a big space taken up. That's solid.
Well, at least on short runs, you'll be able to take care of all the multicolor stuff. You're going to be
Yeah.
putting it on anything other than garments? Like I know it can go on a lot of other substrates.
Yeah, we're not planning on it just yet. Not until we get everything set up and running it how we want to. We're gonna do some like contract, like outsourcing of gang sheets and things like that. So we're doing that first before we open up a whole bunch of products that we don't have pricing on and confuse all the sales reps until it's solid.
Yeah. Well, certainly contracting, picking up contract work on the machine would certainly make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because there's like a certain amount of like room to run it to make sense. So there's waste like anyways in between the two sections of the machine. So we're just trying to make it efficient. We're only printing like 2 days a week on it for like, we're just like forecasting as jobs build up. Then they'll use the machine like on Tuesdays and Thursdays to print until we're running full on. We'll just keep adding days. But right now we're just slow because we're not really putting it out there. We're just doing it for ourselves.
Well, you got to get to know the machine and what it can do. So
Yeah.
you do a lot of in-house stuff anyway for all your employees. So
Yeah.
Be kind of
That's
fun.
where we were running like inside like tag prints. If we have to run a job, and we do not like weren't using all the space. We were just printing like custom like key press tags that we could put in our own garments to fill up space.
Nice.
Got to try and use the machine every day too. Otherwise, head troubles always
Yeah.
pop up.
Yeah, I guess the person that's running in our digital department says I guess they could like they top off the top of the caps with some kind of water or something. The M&R tech was showing them if it's not going to be used for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get trained on it, but that's what he was telling me. But so far so good, no issues.
At Richard, in Nashville, is there a lot going on as far as DTF, as far as training sessions or
No,
seminars?
it was all separate. It was all separation. Marshall did a talk about Midjourney, and
Right.
he actually showed how you can you go with your first prompt, and then you modify it and modify it and modify it and modify it. And it was interesting, the sort of changes that you could see. And if you particularly like the look, so he did something with a squirrel, and he did it with a person, and you got the same artistic style because of the prompts. So I believe that was the focus of what Marshall did. But it was J.J. Campbell and Dot Tone Dan that did separations of the same image, and they showed two different ways. And they both had different approaches on how they approached the light channel, the L channel, or the HSB, versions. And it for someone who knew about separations like I did, it was very interesting, and I loved how they twisted it. But I know the people I sat with that came because they wanted to learn, they'll have to practice, because if you look down and did something on your computer for 30 seconds, you lost what was happening on the screen. So again,
Yeah, I got to play with.
I think it's going to change a lot of people's careers. I mean, they're going to learn a lot, but without the video, it would have been a complete failure. But because there's a video, I think it's fabulous. Those people will learn a lot, and it opened up people to the real importance of using channels and how well they could separate. And it didn't take that much effort to it.
Yeah, I got to play with Midjourney quite a bit at Jim's place, and separating the stuff that comes off of it has been a piece of cake. I'm actually working with Dane, and we're doing a workshop in Fort Worth where we start out with images from AI images off of Midjourney, take them, separate them, set it up, go through the whole song and dance and print it at the end. It's kind of funny, when I was talking to Dane, he and Lon were working on a piece where both of them were both on Midjourney. Both of them were putting in the identical information and getting totally different results.
Yes, right. Same thing happened in Nashville.
Yeah, you'd think that if you're putting in identical situations, et cetera, you would get identical response. Not even close. And I mean, it's a fun program to play with, and it certainly has its validity. And for someone who doesn't have a creative art department, it certainly gives you the ability to get very creative. Separating it was no problem at all. But it's funny how if you left out a word here or a word there, you got such a different response to or different output of what the image was. And then going back to the image and enhancing it further and further and further, et cetera. Sometimes you ended up with a piece that was totally wrong for what you were looking for. It's kind of funny how it got to it, but it was like, no, I'm going back to the original one now. But Dave, are you guys using AI for anything or not yet?
One graphic designer does, but I don't know. He uses it for a bunch of things. So he uses it for designing and marketing. But I'm not familiar to like speak on his behalf, but he's super into it. And then the other more creative designers are against it. So
You know,
they both disagree like on the two different angles of what it is.
I mean, I think those that are creative feel that they can do a better job on their own.
Yeah.
The thing is, speed
Can they do it in 10
and
minutes?
huh?
Can they do it in 10 minutes?
I was gonna say, you punch in a bunch of stuff, you hit the button, and you know, less than a minute later, you have 4 options, and then you can go in and enhance that. I think if you're really a good graphic designer and you learn how to deal with AI, you can come up with some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And not have it interfere with or make you feel like you're less creative. But it's like anything else. Certainly as a screen printer, when Director Garment first came out, of course, all of us as screen printer were like, yeah, I can't do the things that I can do. And it can't do certain things, but it can do a lot of other things that we couldn't do as screen prints on short runs, for example. So kind of interesting. Mallory, you guys don't have any access to AI at this time, do you?
I think I outsource a lot of our stuff, but one of the guys that we do use has used it before, I think on just one of our designs. But other than that, no, we mostly deal with branding and that type of clients, not
Right,
ones.
you're not going out and looking for the creatives to do creative work for them. You're looking at taking what they have and producing it.
At this point right now, yes. Mhm.
Yeah, right. Until you probably get to a point where you have a big enough staff and start touting yourself as a creative agency, AI is probably not going to do anything wonderful for you other than hit your pocketbook. I think what's it? Midjourney is what, 1,000 a year now, or something like that. Believe that's what
I'm
the
not sure.
cost is, huh?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's $1,000 a year. And all of the things that you produce on it are proprietary. So no one else will get to see what your stuff is. I played around with some of the other freebie situations. They were terrible. I mean, it's kind of like talking to someone saying, yeah, I need you to do the Mona Lisa, and they give you a stick figure.
Yeah.
You
A
know,
really good free one that you could use is called Looka. It's Looka, just to get like, some rough ideas. I don't know how many times you could use it, but like I think there's a free version that's good enough.
Okay.
So if like I'm just like make up an example. If it was like a beauty salon or something, you could just go put in like some keywords and it does give you like 10 really good options that aren't too cheesy. Like it's like they're kind of relevant and like up to date with trends.
Huh.
And I played with it a little bit. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I think I played with one called Da Vinci. Was not impressed at all. It's almost like it gave you nothing more than a cartoon figure.
I seen a really good one where it was like the prompt was just I think it was like salmon, like a stream, like for like a fishing company, and the artwork comes back as like just salmon, like that's filleted from a store jumping out of the water.
Deli, yeah.
Yeah. It's real good. It's like a popular like one that everybody uses to like make fun of how that's working, but yeah, it's a popular, funny one.
Funny.
A little
It's
scary.
funny when you punch it in, you have this image of what you're going to get, and then all of a sudden it pops up. It's like, wow, that's not at all what I thought I was going to get. But oh well, welcome to AI, huh?
Right.
Yep.
The next thing to hit the world.
I like using it as just a jumping off point for like getting if it's a new customer with a new logo, just to get it set somewhat of what in the right direction, and then having the artist go in and do his own rendition of it.
Well, that's what Dane, when I work with him, he'll use AI up to a point, and then he'll take it and he'll modify the images so that they really have a different twist on them than what the program put out.
Yeah, it's like it's a good bridge between the sales department and the art department
Oh,
on
absolutely.
communication. So like at least they're not wasting the graphic designer's time. Why just give me something cool?
Yep.
Spiel with the shortcut. At least they have it somewhere where it needs to go, and then the graphic designer can take it from there and saves them a bunch of time.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Listen, in 15 minutes, you can put together enough of a pitch to go to any client and at least get a response from them, as opposed to spending hours putting together a presentation. So to that end, I think it's quite good.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I'm not opposed to it. I think any creative artist that's opposed to it just hasn't had a chance to play with it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Never turn your back on technology.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still from the old school of, get your hands dirty, but at the same time, I think you have to be ready to embrace some of the newer technology. Otherwise, it's going to walk past you anyway. Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
Oh, I was wondering. In any event, anybody want to bring up anything else?
I was just checking in to say hello.
Well, hello. I just want to get an idea of, where you were, where things are, how your quote unquote nonprofit works. But it's been fun having you on. Richard, any closing words?
Nothing for me. Thank you, Charlie.
Well,
Thank you.
So I have no one scheduled for the next one. So Richard, interested in being the guest on the next one?
Sure. Do you know what day you want?
You and I can discuss it, but roughly 2 weeks from now, 2
Understood.
to 3 weeks. That sound good?
Sure.
Good. Send me your photo and I'll get a flyer made up.
Okay. Easily done.
Terrific. Mallory, you're welcome to join us on these. I'll keep you in the loop.
Okay.
You might actually find Richard interesting when he speaks on his own.
Huh.
Maybe, who knows?
Doubt it.
Well, if you want something to read, I have a massive library in screen printing, so
He
I
does.
can certainly load you up with books.
Okay.
Is my phone number at the bottom here, or?
Yeah,
I
I
know
see
that-
it.
Okay, so
Yeah, Richard
write that
definitely is
down.
the custodian of all of the technical articles from over the years. Tons
Nice.
and tons and tons of them.
So if you're trying to teach something or you're putting together a syllabus of some sort, and you say, we'd like to explain such and such. So imagine me as your librarian, and
Yeah.
I will. This is what basically what I do now is write little reading lists or things like that, collect things for people to read,
Okay, great. That's good to know.
and be bold. Don't say I don't want to bother him. You just
I'll bother
lost
you.
time.
He
You're
has
wasting
nothing
time.
better to do anyway, so yeah,
I
bother
have
him.
to, I have things I have to do, but I've gotten a couple of requests this week, last week is what I really meant to say, last week that were very intriguing and a lot of hard work to go look for things. So that it's a lot of fun. Get to play with my stuff, like George
Nice.
Carlin said.
Well, I have a column that I now write for Screen Printing Magazine. And I'm dealing with all of the old stuff from back when I first got into this industry and some of the things we did, I think prior to you even getting in, although you may have been involved, which has been kind of fun digging out old, not only old articles, but artwork, etc. The issue that's coming out for the Printing United show was a set of technical symposiums that we did early 90s with Andy Anderson and taking an image and breaking it down, I think 6 different ways. Bill Wayner was involved, Fred Clark was involved,
Mhm.
Andy, myself, Mike Davis and Randy Bernhardt, back in the days when the Commodore 64 was the computer to try and do it on. And so I think you'll get a kick out of some of what comes out on that particular issue. And they are actually doing a printed version of it for the show, as opposed to just a digital version. So kind of fun. In any event, enjoyed having all of you on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, Richard, and the rest of you if you'd like. Otherwise, Mallory, if you run into situations or questions, you can bother Richard or myself.
Please do.
Not a problem at all. And Dave, look forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, same.
And
I'll be,
great. Other than that, thank you all for being on. And by the
Thanks.
way, this has been recorded, and so it will be on my website if anybody wants to go over it, review it, see it, whatever. And it should be
Thanks.
posted in the next couple of days. Terrific.
Awesome.
Thanks all.
Yeah, see you guys.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Richard, I'll send you I have your email. I'll send, you know what, if you want to hold on, I can pull up my calendar.
Okay.
Give me a moment.
You should have my picture because we did one of these in the past. I was a
I
guest
know.
once before, but that's history.
How about, let's see.
I'm looking for my calendar now.
Why don't we do it after Printing United? Why don't we do it on the 17th of September?
Okay, just a second. I'm punching it up now. Got my calendar going. 17th.
Yep. That work for you?
I'll be there.
Great. I will send you information.
Terrific. Thanks, Charlie.
Richard, thanks for being on.
I enjoy it.
Terrific. Always a pleasure to see you on there.
Okay.
Stay well, stay good, and I will chat with you soon.
I'll see you soon.
Terrific.
Bye-bye.